Okay, continuing with this exercise, finding trig ratios given one values and probably some other conditions. But this time we're going to work with ratios such as sec and cosec. Okay, same methods apply. We can follow this step. Firstly, using Pythagoras theorem to work out the third side of the triangle, and then we work out in the unit circle which quadrant are we talking about, and then we can work out the answer. Okay, so example 1, if tan is 4/5 and cosec is less than 0, we have to find a value for sine and sec. So firstly we need our right angle triangle. So tan is O over A, so we will have a right angle triangle like this. So our acute angle is here, and opposite is 4 and adjacent is 5. Okay, so firstly let's work out the third side of the triangle first. So in this case the hypotenuse. And the answer, when we work it out, it is square root of 41. Okay, square root of 41. Now we have all the sides of the triangle, then we can work out which quadrants are we talking about. So firstly, first condition, tan is 4/5. It's not negative 4/5, so we're talking about positive tan value. And then on this unit circle, there's a 2 quadrant that satisfies that condition, which is the first one and the third one. Then we might have to work with other conditions. So the other condition that's given is cosec has to be negative. Now cosec is related to sine ratio because cosec is equal to 1/sine. So if cosec is less than 0, we are talking about sine less than 0. And again, we are talking about the first and the third quadrant, and in the third quadrant, that's the quadrant that we want because we want sine to be negative. Okay, so now we can eliminate the first quadrant. So the third quadrant satisfies the condition that is tan is positive and cosec or sine is also negative. So we are talking about the third quadrant. Now we can answer the question. So sine theta, in the third quadrant, sine is negative. Okay, so firstly we need negative answer first, and sine is O/H, so we go back to our triangle to work out the answer. So in this case it is 4 over square root of 41. So let's finish that off. Okay, see how we use the same method that we used before to work out this answer. Now let's go to sec. Okay, sec is related to cos because sec is 1/cos. So in the third quadrant, cos is negative and 1/cos is also negative. So sec is also negative in this case. Okay, and sec is 1/cos, or we can say that it's H/A. So in this case it is square root of 41/5. So that is our answer for this one. So square root of 41/5. Okay, so again, when you work with sec or cosec, just work out whether it's related to sine or cosine, so it's easier to work out if the ratio is positive or negative. Alright, so let's try with another example. So we have example 2 over here, so let's remove what we don't need. Now example 2. So now we are given sec, okay, and the ratio is not in fraction but in decimal, but keep in mind we can convert decimal into fraction. Oh, I forgot, shouldn't be this. Let's change this to 1.2. You cannot have sec that is equal to 0.6. Alright, if sec is negative 1.2 and sine is positive, so what happened? Okay, now firstly sec is 1/cos, so it is H/A, so still the same thing, same step, we need to work out we need to draw the triangle. So h over a is, now 1.2 is 12 over 10. We can convert into fractions. So in this case, 12 over 10. Okay. Now we work out the third side of this triangle. So 12 square, take away 10 square. We will have square root, and then square root, we have square root of 44. So the answer would be square root of 44, or if we simplify the third, it is 2 root 11. Okay, now let's work out which quadrant are we talking about. So sec is negative, and we did say before sec is related to cos. So the only quadrants, the region where cos is negative is on the left hand side. So we're talking about the second and the third quadrant. And then we use the second condition. So in this case, sine is positive. So we can eliminate the third quadrant now. So the only quadrant that satisfies both conditions is the second condition. The second quadrant. Okay. Now let's find our answer. So we need to find cot. Now cot is related to tan. Cot is 1 over tan. And in our second quadrant, tan is negative. So our answer should be negative. Okay. Now cot is 1 over tan, or in this case it's going to be A over O. If tan is O over A, then cotan will be A over O. So the answer will be A over O. So 10 over 2 root 11. So let's finish it off. A over O. And we can simplify this, which is negative 5 over root 11. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Okay. So that's our answer for cot. Now cosec. Cosec is 1 over sine. So it's related to sine ratio. And in our second quadrant, sine is positive. So cosec theta should be positive as well. And cosec is 1 over sine. And sine is O over h. So cosec going to be h over O. So 12 over 10, which is 1.2 in this case. No, h over O, sorry. So 12 over 2 root 11. So it's going to be 6 over root 11. And that's our answer. Okay. So again, try to use Pythagoras theorem to work out the third side of the triangle. Work out which quadrant. And if you have to use those ratios, such as sec, cosec, and cotans, work out which ratio is related to it. Is that sine, cosine, or tan? Okay.